In this video, I wanted to discuss the similarities of the Pleiadians and the Elves. It has only been recent, but I have started to connect the two types of species together. As science is evolving, we're starting to learn that there are possibly other worlds out there. I just read an article that said that there were 7 Earth-like planets found floating around, close to our solar system. So it's time for us to realize that we are not alone, and we are not the only ones on Earth, and it is quite selfish to believe that this whole space in the universe is just for humans. And I must say that my research and investigation into the Pleiadians that started in my early 20s, it has led me to understand the way that elves live as well. And it has a lot of parallels to the way that the elves in Tolkien were actually described, which is interesting because I wonder if Tolkien received his inspiration from the Pleiadians. I guess we will never know. And maybe that's something that I can research further and let you guys know that as well. But let me go into it a little bit more. When I was in my earlier 20s, I started to awaken to the ideas of aliens, and I started to look at the different possibilities of different beings, and one of the species that I kept hearing about were the Pleiadians. And for some reason, the Pleiadians really resonated with me. I learned about their life through Billy Meyer, who was said to actually have visitation from them in, I think it was like, I don't know what time, but it was in the Swiss. I think it was Switzerland, yes. And I'm not sure exactly what the time was, but Billy Meyer said that he received visitations from Pleiadians, and they told him about their way of life in order so that he could spread the message to other humans and to inspire them towards a new way of living. Because it's true, we on Earth, we seem to do things the hard way. We seem to like to struggle and like to make life difficult for ourselves. And unfortunately, there are people in charge that like to do that for us. And it's not only our fault here on the bottom in the masses, but it's actually the people in charge who love to make us be the ones who slave away, right? And we just waste our lives away. But they become very meaningful with the moments that we put into our lives. But there is a type of freedom that the Pleiadians have that humans do not. And the Pleiadians, when you read about The Bringers of Dawn by Barbara Messiniak and also Billy Meyer's, his visitations with them, you learn that the Pleiadians actually live in a very peaceful community, in a very peaceful society. They have just advanced so much mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that they really don't have to govern over themselves with government. They actually govern over themselves through their own morals and their own feelings of unity towards each other, and therefore they don't hurt each other. They actually have empathy and telepathy, so they understand when they are hurting one another, and that's where humans need to get to. And I do believe that we are evolving towards that way, either with the help of the Pleiadians or just that is our natural evolutionary cycle, at least for some of us who are choosing to tap into that potential. But the Pleiadians live very peacefully. The way that it's described in some of the books that I have read about Pleiadian life is that the Pleiadians, who come from the star system of the Pleiades, the 7 stars, 7 sisters it's called, they are able to live in a very peaceful society with only a elder council, basically. There's no government. It's just older and wiser people that are kind of in charge of their society, and you can go to them with problems and issues that arise. But hardly ever is there war or any kind of issues within their society, because they have just advanced to this level of really aligning themselves to the creation of goodness, light, unity, and peace. And so the way that they live with one another is truly just an inspiration for humans. And I believe that, Tolkien, when he explained the way that the elves lived in Rivendell in the stories, and we see it in Peter Jackson's, depiction of the movies, depiction of the stories in his movies. We see that they do live in this type of peace, this tranquility. I mean, you have the White Council, which is of Elrond, Galadriel, and, well, was Saruman, the White Wizard. And, there's no real kings or queens, there's no government in charge. It's just that White Council. So when a person has an issue, they go to that White Council and seek the advice of the oldest elves, which is Galadriel and Elrond. And it's just amazing to think of how Rivendell is as a community. They live on their own, kind of far away in this secret passage between the mountains and in this valley with the waterfalls, and it flows into the sea. And they do keep to themselves, and they live peacefully with each other. It seems that there is no need to fight. They live at this higher state of understanding that they should not waste their time on Earth, or in Middle Earth to fight. And it seems that there's this sense of kind of a brotherhood within the Elven community where you just do not disrespect or insult or harm another because it looks badly on who you are as an elf. And that's how the Pleiadians really do live. They really take into consideration that every single negative thing that they do to one another is actually harming themselves. So humans need to get to that point. And it's hard for me to be quite exact. I'm not going to tell you, yes, the elves are actually the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians are star elves. I cannot give you ever 100% confirmation on something that I cannot prove through science. But I do feel deep in my intuition and deep with my connection and understanding and the research that I have made about the Pleiadians that they are very connected to Tolkien. So if you are interested in learning a little bit more about how to live life like an elf and the philosophies and the way that they treat others, I highly suggest reading about the Pleiadians and reading about the different earth channelers that had experiences and visitations with them and received messages from them in order to help humanity, inspire them. You'll learn that Pleiadians never ever abduct anyone. They are not here to intervene directly in that type of way. But they look at earthlings like their older brothers and sisters. And so, very much like how the elves saw the hobbits and mankind, that they are here to fight with them, fight for their needs, if ever that need arises, and then also to counsel them and to guide them. And so that is exactly what the Pleiadians are doing now. So I really want to just encourage that connection to develop, because that might help to solidify your understanding of why this elven energy is so strong right now in the world. And it could very much be related to us developing a connection and a vibrational connection and a frequency with the Pleiadians. Well, some of us are developing that connection. I know I am, because I'm living on that higher level of frequency. So messages and ideas and Elven wisdom and Pleiadian wisdom are kind of intertwining for me and are being downloaded into my mind and have inspired me to make this channel. And I can see that there's other people that do receive these messages and these channelings. So I wanted to just put that out there, just a little bit of a spark in that direction for you to start to investigate and learn all you can about the Pleiadians and what they were here to do for the humans in order to teach them, because there's something very evil going on right now. There are negative entities and humans that have polarized themselves to the darkness and want power over others. So what they have done is they have made the light beings as enemies. And you'll see that on websites. You'll see that it says Pleiadians are possibly dangerous to humanity. And I can tell you with just a deep feeling from my heart and just once you read, and this is why I encourage people to do this right now, once you read about Barbara Marciniak's book of the Bringers of Dawn, and the Sunset Before the Dawn. I think that's another story you can look into. And Billy Meyer's Visitations with the Pleiadians. And just, there are a lot of different books out there on the Pleiadians now. You really need to learn about who they are and how they live within their society. And then you will see there is absolutely no motivation to disrupt or manipulate humanity in any kind of way. They are solely here to guide and help us, and that is all. So I feel that that's a really important message to get out right now, because I know that there's a lot of confusion, and hopefully that can start to connect the elves and why people are feeling so strongly about that, and why they may also connect to the Pleiadians as well, if you do know something about them. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video.